Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo fue tu día? ¿Qué hiciste? ¿Qué estás haciendo ahora? ¿Qué vas a hacer después? Welcome to lesson 8. Perfect number for this, the number 8, the infinity sign. The 501 Spanish verbs is truly like the infinite combinations, infinite sentence generator, because it gives you complete access to every possibility within the verb. This is the grammar of Spanish, the complete grammar at your fingertips in this book. So here I have a single page. I chose the verb hablar, and also hanging out down here I've got comer as a sample of an ER verb, and I've got escribir, which means to write, like a scribe, as a sample of your IR verb. But as you can see, all pages are the same. So all 501 verbs have the same structural makeup on each page. So we're just going to mainly look at hablar, and I've even gone in and labeled these in English, so you know as a key, as a guide. So here it is. This is one page. It's hablar, to speak. So let's start with this and talk about exactly how you can best use this book. All right, top left-hand part of the page where it says hablar, that's your infinitive verb. So as you know, you can use hablar with the future tense, saying I'm going to speak. Okay, turn the page. Whatever verb is there, you could say I'm going to, so on and so forth. Right. Quick note: you'll want to turn to the page of the verb ir, to go, to find out how voi looks in second person, third person, we form, and so on and so forth. Voi, vas, va, vamos, van, for I'm going to speak, you're going to speak. So hablar, infinitive verb, I'm going to speak. And as you also know, the infinitive verb can be used with modal verbs, from the previous lesson. I like to speak, me gusta hablar, I want to, quiero, I need, necesito, I can, puedo, I have to, tengo que, and I'm trying to, trato de, right? So, tons of stuff you can already do with the infinitive form of the verb. Out of all the forms of the verb, you always want to know what's the infinitive. You always want to know what's the infinitive, okay? That's going to tell you, is it AR verb, ER verb, IR verb? It gives you a clue on how to guess in how it's going to be conjugated. It might look like this is a lot of information, the way that this verb is conjugated, but it's a ton of repeat stuff. So you basically just have to learn most of it once, not even all of it, just you learn enough to basically understand how this page works, and all the pages work the same. So it's not that much information. It's surprisingly little how much you actually have to do to be able to tackle the complete sort of Spanish verb. So the infinitive verb hablar, and then in the middle here we have hablando. That's your gerund, your gerundio. And as you'll remember, that's the form that means speaking. Okay, so any page you turn to, you're going to find that it says, comiendo, escribiendo, whatever the verb is, it's going to tell you how to say the ing form of that verb. I am speaking. So I've put estoy hablando here to remind you that you can say I am speaking, or whatever the verb is. Finally, on the top right side, you've got your participle form. That is the equivalent of the English spoken. I have spoken, I will have spoken. So here I've put he hablado, which means I have spoken. Okay, so again, if we pulled up comer, it would be, okay, this is a different side of the page, so the top is reversed, but comer, to eat. So I'm going to eat, voy a comer. I want to eat, quiero comer. I have eaten, he comido, and I am eating, estoy comiendo. What are you doing? ¿Qué estás comiendo? ¿Qué estás haciendo? I'm eating. Estoy comiendo. And so on and so forth. Okay, so practice using this in writing and in speaking. Just build your routine. As we move down into the body of the page, we're going to have the present indicative. And so again, I've labeled this here. This is equivalent of I speak, not I spoke, right? This is present tense. And we have it here in 6 forms. I speak, yo hablo. Don't need to say the yo, just say hablo, and it means I speak. Tú hablas, you informal speak, it's got the S. Él, ella, usted habla, that's he or she or the polite you speaks. Nosotros hablamos, which means we speak. Okay, so anytime you see a verb in this position, top right, you know that it's the we form, right? Vosotros habláis means y'all speak, you all, you plural, but this form is only used in Spain. I personally don't use it myself, and I think only people from Spain use it, and I also think that everyone from Spain uses it. So it's entirely exclusive to Spain. I would say ustedes, which is the plural of usted, it's yous, you know. Ustedes hablan. Also, ellos, ellas hablan, the plural. Okay, so in every section of the chart here, it's going to be I, you, he, she, polite you, right? We, y'all only in Spain, and then they and y'all. Okay, so at this point, you basically just need to understand how each section works. So section 2, imperfecto de indicativo. Imperfect, indicative, whatever. I used to speak is basically what that comes down to. So hablaba español. I used to speak Spanish. Hablaba español. Section 3 is I spoke. So simple past. I spoke with him yesterday. Hablé con él ayer. Spoke with Tony yesterday. Hablé con Tony ayer. Okay. You know, did you speak with him? Hablaste, right? So you just come down here. Hablaste con Tony ayer. My friend spoke with Tony yesterday. Mi amigo habló con Tony ayer, right? We spoke with him. Hablamos con él. And then y'all or they spoke. They spoke with him. Hablaron con él, and so on and so forth, right? So you just do the chart. Here we have the future tense. Hablaré. Right, so it's like you take the infinitive hablar and then add the es, hablaré, hablarás. This exists, of course, but it's not used nearly as much as using the I'm going to speak future form. So instead of saying hablaré, I will speak Spanish with him tomorrow, you just say I'm going to speak, you know, with him. So hablaré, hablarás, hablará, hablaremos, hablaréis in Spain, and hablarán. Fine, but it's not used that much. Just use voy a hablar, vas a hablar. Potential, simple, conditional sometimes. It's I would do this. Hablaría, I would speak. Hablarías, you would speak. Hablaría, hablaríamos, hablarían, would speak. Okay. I'm going to come back to 6 and 7. Jump up to 8 real quick. Left side of the page is the what's called perfective or perfect aspects, and on the right side it's all perfect. Now what that means is it uses the verb to have, the auxiliary verb to have done something, to have spoken. I have spoken, I had spoken, I will have spoken, I would have spoken, and it's all equivalent this way, like present tense, past tense. One's perfect, one's not. So I have spoken is he hablado. You have spoken, has hablado. Have you spoken with him? Has hablado con él. Works the same way. Right. We have spoken with him. Hemos hablado con él. Right? Section 9. I had spoken. Había hablado. Had you spoken with him before? Habías hablado con él antes. You know. Section 10 is just not used. I guess it's antiquated or something, but it's not used. So don't worry about it. Section 11, I will have done such and such. So habré hablado, habrás hablado. Okay. I would have spoken. Habría hablado. If things had been different, then I would have spoken with him. Habría hablado con él. Okay. Which brings us to the bottom square, 6, 7, 13, and 14. Now, the difference here, you could imagine a little invisible line here. Difference between this bottom part and the top. Difference between this bottom part and the top is that the bottom part is what's known as this subjunctive mood, while the top is all in the indicative mood. So you'll see indicative, indicative, whereas this is subjunctive, subjunctive. So what that is that when verbs are in the indicative mode, it means, or indicative mood, it means that the speaker is indicating that that verb happened. So if I tell you, I speak Spanish, or I'm studying Spanish, or I'm going to do this, all of those statements indicate something that is real, or that the speaker that I believe is real. When it comes to subjunctive, the verb is referring to an action that is not necessarily real, or it's not real yet. For example, in section 6, where we have the present tense subjunctive, we're going to use the verb quiero, which means I want, and then quiero que hables, and the verb hables is in the subjunctive form. So the meaning of quiero que hables is I want, literally it's I want that you speak. I want that you speak, which in English you would just say I want you to speak. Okay, so I want you to speak, I want you to study every day, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. That's how that works in Spanish. It just so happens that the way you say it is I want that you do this. Now, the reason that hables is in the subjunctive form is because I'm not able to indicate that you do that, right? Like I'm not just saying you speak Spanish, like yes you do, or do you, or you know what I mean? Like it's not talking about something that happens, it's talking about something that I hope happens, that I want to have happen, I hope that it may happen. And that's the meaning of the subjunctive verb. It's the same thing in section 13, just on the perfective side, right? So over here I've put I hope, espero, that you have spoken. So I hope that you've studied your verbs. Like I hope that you've spoken. Espero que hayas hablado. And hayas hablado. Hayas is in the perfective form because it's saying I hope that you have done it. I'm not saying you have, I'm just saying I hope that you have, right? Section 7, the past tense of the subjunctive. The main way that this works is this. I've put si hablara here. So si means if, and then you need to use the form hablara or hablase. I always just use hablara to mean if I did this thing. So here again, I didn't, but if I did, then I would tell you, or you would know, because so on and so forth. So I did not speak with him, but if I spoke with him, si hablara con él, and then you probably pop up here to the 5, section 5, and give me a would statement, right? Like you would know, or I would tell you, right? Finally, I have not spoken with him. If I had would be si hubiera hablado, or si hubiese hablado. I always say si hubiera hablado. If I had spoken with him, right? So it starts to get kind of funky, specific, very specific situations. But if you can imagine a situation in which you'd say, if I had spoken with him, then I would have, so on and so forth. So si hubiera hablado. That's the overall idea of how all the verbs work. 6 persons, you only need 5, right? 14, blah, blah, blah. It might sound like a lot, but it's just so repetitive. So if we come to comer, it's all the same here. Here's your, right? It's the exact same idea all day long. So basically, if you can understand one page, you can understand all the pages. So it's an extremely important thing and smart thing to do to learn how to use 501 Spanish verbs. I forgot the imperative at the bottom. Imperative is the command form, right? So if I want you to speak, I would say habla, right? Speak, talk to him. Habla con él. Don't speak, no hables. And from there, you can, in Spanish, you can actually command a third person. So he speak, like I'm telling you that I want the other guy to speak. Hable or que hable, may he speak, may we speak, que hablemos. And then y'all speak. If I'm speaking to a group, hablen. Don't talk. No one, everyone, don't talk. No hablen. So on and so forth. Main one you want is habla and no hables, speaking to the second person. And then down at the bottom, it gives you these nice phrases and words. So just little expressions. Hablar a gritos, to shout. De habla inglesa, English speaking, and hablar al oído, speak in one's ear, so on and so forth. So, absolutely excellent book. I don't really recommend any book at all other than 501 Spanish Verbs and maybe a picture dictionary, like an adult picture dictionary. But 501 Spanish Verbs it's almost all you need. So get this book and have fun practicing, practice writing, practice speaking. And we'll see you in the next lesson. Hasta luego.